another email. But the other things are not so dramatic. For example, the cost of producing another T-shirt has been dropping steadily. And there was an economist that studied the life cycle of a T-shirt, where it came from. It has become gradually easier and easier to grow cotton or nylon. There is many synthetic materials, and there is also natural, like, but not synthetic, like mycelium, that you can make leather or other stuff. So there is, it's like you're on the surface of ocean, and there's all these waves on top. But on the bottom, on the lower strata, there is a current. There is a lot of the ocean water is going in a certain direction in some locations. Okay, that's the undercurrent, which is often very strong too. And this undercurrent is deflationary, is collapse in prices of things. But I just want to kind of note some of the collapses that have happened in prices of just about anything, except like certain commodities. And this inflation is very selective. It can be stopped, but our stupid politicians or the world powers will not let it stop. Well, I'll explain that too, but the bond prices, the U.S. 3-year, 10-year, they want to drop, but the Fed comes in and keeps purchasing them, so it prevents them from dropping. But then there is all these other junk bonds, corporate bonds. There is businesses, all kinds of businesses. They have published paper. Who the hell says that investors have to buy these at the price that's acceptable to these companies? Well, if shit hits the fan, the cash price of these bonds, the municipal bonds, the corporate bonds, they can go into the toilet. An investor like me who says, hey, the economy is bad, I don't give a shit if you have a bond that pays 10%. I want 50%, or I will not take my nice cash out and buy your shit. Simple as shit. So is that a deflationary collapse? Yeah, that's a deflationary collapse. I will get much worse, because concurrently with this deflationary collapse in bond prices, there is a deflationary collapse that's happening in the prices of very overpriced U.S. stocks. So then that means the shit has already hit the fan. Okay, so but that's not where I want to go. I want to just show that the deflation or a strong deflationary collapse is real, even though there is inflation. Well, the inflation that's there is induced because the United States government wants to fuck with everybody, wants to fuck with China, wants to destroy Russia, and these foreign powers, they're a very powerful country. Well, one thing that Trump did was put all these sanctions on all the goods, all kinds of goods that come from China. Well, that's induced inflation, induced synthetically forced manufacturer, to sell their prices higher than normal to their real customers, that U.S. consumers. Who's the real asshole in this thing? Is the U.S. government. The Chinese, they countered by manufacturing the same goods even cheaper, and they continued selling at same prices. And then many companies, American companies, also didn't pass on the induced inflation to their customers. But that doesn't mean there's something is not wrong. But they cannot do this with oil or with gasoline or natural gas or coal or other products, because the U.S. consumers are not the only consumers in the world. There are many countries, and many of these countries have very good customers. They also have huge populations. Well, China itself, India, there are also many little Asian countries, and they have a lot of money, and they will buy the oil. They don't care. You don't need to sell to the fucking Yankees to make money, to have a great company, to prosper. And even with the deflationary trends, many companies, many manufacturing companies, and even oil companies, they can sell these products cheaper and cheaper every other day. So the deflationary collapse is happening concurrently with spiked up selective inflation, which means this inflation is not across the board, but it is going to be felt in all over the economy, because, for example, gas or natural gas or airplane fuel, it's used by almost every industry, and then they are all screwed. But there aren't very good, legitimate, rational reasons for it. If United States could put in sanctions on Russia or China or many countries, Iran, Venezuela, the prices of oil products, energy products would plummet. It would go to something that is natural to the market, something like $60-70 a barrel, in gas prices too. Well, this is a creation of Western countries, mostly United States and Israel, and they have been going at this for a very long time. In fact, there is a secret war going on between Iran and Israel, and also between Iran and United States. Well, the scale of it with Israel is much more expansive than that with the United States. But many Americans, they don't look at the foreign news. I do. I know several languages, and for example, just in the last week alone, or in the last month, Iran has destroyed the Israeli base in Erbil of Kurdistan, which is in Iraq, and also just recently killed 2 top Mossad commanders in their car. They sent in a suicide drone. The Iranian government killed 2 more of Israeli Mossad. They were actually waiting to receive Naftali, or the Israeli Prime Minister. He was traveling there just before he landed in Abu Dhabi. That killed 2 Mossad, and this is in response to Israeli Mossad that killed the Iranian security officer in the broad daylight in Tehran. We are in a mafia war, and Iran has promised that we are going to assassinate every single person that assisted or planned to kill our General Soleimani. Well, I mean, then Yemenis, Houthis are Iran's proxy, and they have sent a message to Saudi Arabia. Well, Iran also sends separately, telling them that you may not increase the production of oil or sell it cheaper in the market to change the price in the spot market, because we're going to hit you very, very hard and destroy many more refineries. And so the Saudis kind of backed down for a little bit, and then they came back again. I think these philosophies that many of these mini fascist states have, it just ruins their own self, because then there's going to be the next wave of attacks. I think Houthis told the Saudis that we're going to hit you again, all your refineries, but we're going to wait until the Hajj ceremonies are going to be over. I don't know how long it's going to be, like about another month. We're going to see a major attacks on Saudi oil refineries and a huge spike on oil price. But then governments that they do not like the stuff the United States has been doing, is also very actively manipulating the markets. Well, when a European country that has a lot of cash, like Germany, that stops buying oil from Russia, well, the Russians will take that oil and put it in the spot market, where they will get even more money for it, right? But the Germans, who have all these industries that they have to run, they'll be they'll get their hats and they'll go beg all kinds of places, Iran, Venezuela, whoever, please sell us this oil and gas that we need, and they'll pay more than the spot price. For example, the spot price for Brent is 120 and change. The spot price for a more light mix is 126. Yeah. So actually many Europeans, they probably pay more, and then Russian government has said that, oh, we're gonna sell this oil to India at deep discounts. I don't know how much the Indians are receiving their oil or energy needs. I think they're paying like 60 or 70 bucks a barrel. I mean, if the Indians misbehaved to Russia and they started, how the jackass throws a fast back kick, if they ever did anything like that, they would simply be singing the death tune for their own economy, because they are a population that's like 1.4 billion of these assholes, and they'll be paying almost double for their gasoline, maybe more, if the government taxes them too, like here. But the premium that the Americans are paying and will be paying more has a lot to do with their own militarism and their own unrelenting assault on Iranian government officials, assassinating our soldiers or border patrols, kind of endlessly financing all kinds of assholes to harass Iranian diaspora or harass Nicaraguan or Venezuelan government officials. This premium has a name, but it's not called Putin's premium. It's called Western assholes premium, and there is consequences. The way that the Americans and Biden administration, other officials deal with these things, one of them is by shutting down news organizations, vloggers. For example, the Saudi, I think they're doing it on their own stupidity. They gave $350 million to Reza Pahlavi, an Iranian, he was supposed to have become the king after the last Shah, and he's giving the money to like Mujahideen Khalq, MKO, terrorist organizations to pursue Iranian diaspora or significant Iranians that live outside of Iran and harass them or injure them. Then what's his asshole's name? Pompeo. He went to Albany with 80 bodyguards because he knows he's going to get assassinated, and met with MKO, a terrorist organization leader, Mariam Rajavi, that they want to just pursue any Iranian that shows support for Iranian government. This stuff, these acts of terrorism, endlessly pursuing regime change in the world, endless military ventures, these are costing American. I don't know why none of the commentators, like good commentators like Peter Schiff or Kaiser Report, they seldom talk about this. Well, in the Kaiser Report, the Stacy, she talked about militarism and that it will cost us, and sometimes Max himself would do so. Well, Celente talks about it, or then Peter Schiff seldom mentions that how costly are these actions that the U.S. government, its intelligence services, and its military, how much it actually cost us, how much it actually cost us to give unquestioned support to Israel and all the stuff that it does. Oh. I think that is very, very strange that like someone like me, I'm like in the most fringes of American society you can imagine. Actually, I am the one who's talking about this stuff that it should be of national interest of the United States and Americans. Anyhow, I don't want to go into it in more detail. Just that I think that these foreign powers, they will confront U.S. military, U.S. government, or mainland United States. But after, I don't know what will have to take place before there is a change or shift of policy in Washington D.C. I think that will happen after the Russians nuke D.C. They'll have a change of mind about the stuff, but the price of oil is going to keep going up. But there is damage going to be happening in all kinds of sectors of U.S. economy. It is going to suffer deflationary collapse. The price of cars, the price of houses, the price of bonds, name it, price of U.S. stocks, and if there is actual military, like a major military war in Persian Gulf, or forget about the equity market, as Celente said, forget about the economy. It's just going to be trash. Thank you very much for being my YouTube channel, and I am getting cut on my older man. I gotta quit. Please subscribe. Don't be shy. Leave comment, and we'll go from there. Thank you.